What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Side Tangent. It's your boy Jared.
And I'm Parker. Once when I was a kid, I tried to self-mummify myself with toilet paper because I just learned about it. So I wrapped myself in toilet paper, spread mud and honey on myself, and just sat out in the sun, and nothing happened.
You didn't get mummified?
I didn't get mummified. Do you know that Mark Twain said that people would use mummies to power steam engines? It probably didn't actually happen, though. Anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about.
Wait. How does that work?
You open the compartment, and instead of throwing coal in, you throw a mummy.
Does it have to be a mummy or just a dead person?
No, I think it was mummies, like from around the world, probably mostly Egypt.
Is it because they were mummified, or is it because...
Yeah, well, because it's like dry. It's basically the perfect tinder.
Oh. What are the ethical implications of this? Like if let's say like
I would imagine not good.
well, if you were cremated, like let's say like your will, like would you want to be mummified and then turn into like a steam engine?
Well, yes, I would, but I would imagine most people would.
Do you think that should be an option available to other people?
Because steam engines didn't exist when the mummies were made, so they had no concept to consent to that. But I would be down to consent to me being used as a fuel source.
All right, you heard it here, folks.
But you need that knowledge.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Are you like, let's say you know you're going to die of old age.
Mm-hmm.
Would you want to be buried or cremated? Like if you had a choice of what you would want to do.
I mean, probably buried. Like, anything, maybe in 30 years there'll be no room for burials in America, and then I'll be fine to be cremated or preferably fuel sourced. But, like,
I like it.
If there's room, I don't know.
Well, that was quite the way to start this.
Yeah.
Rather, we had a plan for this episode. You kind of just started off. We started off on a tangent. We started off on just off the rails, and now we have to get back on the rails to what we originally planned for.
But it's instead of talking about ancient Egypt and Western America, we should talk about a fantasy land that doesn't exist called Greece.
Yeah, I agree.
Next to Italy, which also doesn't exist.
Yeah. So today's episode, Thames theme. Today's theme, Greece, the magical made-up place that doesn't exist. Before we jump into that, who's your favorite Greek god?
Apollo.
Why?
Because he shoots arrows.
What about Artemis? Is it because Apollo's a man?
Well, I just feel...
no kidding.
I always felt wrong being like, I like Artemis, because it's like, I don't know.
That's fair.
It's just, she's for other people.
Yeah.
Apollo, though, plays a guitar, shoots arrows. I can do one of those things.
You don't play guitar.
Yeah.
That'd be a good two truths and a lie.
That is, yeah.
Like how close you are to Apollo. All right, now you ask me.
Who's your favorite Greek god? Or goddess?
Dionysus. I just like that he's one of the 12 Olympians, and he's like the god of, like, wine, essentially.
And partying.
Yeah, Hephaestus is another one. Hephaestus, I'm not sure.
I don't know how to say it. I won't lie, part of the reason I said Apollo is because I was most confident in pronouncing his name. But the others... Did you know Zeus once had an affair with a woman, and Zeus turned himself into a swan to get away with it? I learned that in, like...
Zeus was Wilden.
I learned that...
Wilden, I guess. I don't know. He doesn't die.
In, like, a very young age in class. We were just... Percy Jackson had just come out, and we were learning about all the Greek gods, and we were like, yeah, he turned into a swan. I was like, why are we learning about this?
Was it a swan with a human woman? Or a swan with another swan?
Zeus turned himself into a swan, and then, then he was with a human woman, and I can't remember what that birthed. I assume that swan...
Is that what made Pegasus?
Maybe.
Is Pegasus... I'm trying to remember. Is Pegasus one of Zeus's kids? We have a laptop right here. We're going to look it up.
All right, bro. Because I know there's some monsters that are...
The keyboard's not even on. Embarrassing.
Well, good thing to... Okay.
Is Pegasus one of Zeus's kids? Let's see. No.
How about... Okay. Since this is great listening, Google Zeus swan woman child.
Okay.
Zeus swan story. Don't look it up. Story child or something.
Yeah. Let's see.
Man, poor AI.
In the Greek myth of the leads and the swans, Zeus transformed.
She gave birth to 4 children from eggs. Dang.
Helen, Pollux, Castor, and Clytemnestra. Oh!
Trojan War.
Wait, well, this actually leads into what we're going to get to
is this a
eventually.
great...
Yeah, because so Helen and Clytemnestra are Helen of Troy, and then Clytemnestra is her twin sister. I have no idea who Pollux and Castor are.
They're characters from Percy Jackson.
Okay, so for those not seeing the screen right now, Zeus turned into a swan.
Yes.
Had an affair with a human woman.
Yes.
And she gave birth via eggs.
4 eggs.
4 eggs to be exact. That's a third of a dozen, so did it come in like a carton?
And in this economy, I'm sure.
I know. Was it like one of the brown eggs, or was it like the white ones that we see now? Were there GMOs? Anyways, gave birth to Helen, Pollux, Castor, and Clytemnestra. And Helen and Clytemnestra would be important later on in this conversation.
Okay.
Don't give 2 craps of who Pollux and Castor are. Don't know who they are. It's good to know.
That's good to know. I did not know that was connected. Okay, so if I can go with my bit first.
Yes, go ahead.
So, last week, watched HadesTown. Jared has not seen HadesTown.
I don't even remember what it was about when you told me.
That's okay. I'm going to... So it's pretty obvious there's 2 very big Greek mythology things going on right now. HadesTown, which I have seen, and the Odyssey, which Jared has seen. So this won't be a spoiler discussion because we'll be explaining to each other without spoiling it.
To be fair, though, these stories are thousands of years old, so you know.
But I don't know that you don't know. There could be a different twist.
That's true.
So HadesTown is a musical. I think it's super good. And just recently, with the original cast, they released a recording in movie theaters.
You watched it in the theaters?
We watched it
in the
theater.
Went to a play.
No.
Okay.
No, so it's the mythos of Orpheus and Eurydice. And Orpheus is... It's famous because Orpheus has an amazing voice.
Is Orpheus a real Greek mythology character?
I mean, there's a myth. I don't know if he's a real person, but there's a mythology about him. Right. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And their whole story is that they were in love. Eurydice passes away, and Orpheus sings so beautifully that literally the opening to hell opens up, and he walks himself down to hell, and is trying to get his wife, his lover, out of Hades, and he's trying to convince Hades with his beautiful music and his beautiful singing, which is literally so good that gods weep and stuff, and the rocks literally shake and stuff like that, and life comes. He's an amazing singer.
Okay.
So it's that whole story. HadesTown tells that story, and it's still there's gods and stuff. Hermes is the main narrator, but it's 1930s, 1910s American style. So everyone's kind of in suits or overalls. There's everyone has whiskey, and there's bars and stuff. And instead of you taking a boat to Hades, which is usually in it, you take a train and stuff like that. So it's kind of American style, but everyone's still it's still Hades, Orpheus, Eurydice, Hermes. Hades is married to Persephone and stuff like that, but all the music is more jazzy. Super good.
Okay.
And it's so multiple times when we were watching it, it went totally quiet, and you could just hear people sobbing to themselves in the audience. Very good. I know if I remember right, musicals aren't your favorite thing.
It's not that I as I get older, I think when we first met, it was definitely immature college kid. I always thought I was too cool for musicals and stuff. The more I get older, I've grown an appreciation for all kinds of, I guess media is the best way to put it. Just different kinds of arts and stuff. We have very artistic people in our lives. Your wife is one of them. My wife is one of them. Our friends are really good. Just a lot of different mediums, and I think I've grown an appreciation for different things. Now, not a musical might not be my first choice, but if it's good, it's good, people.
I think this is a fun one to if you're new to musicals to get into, because one, you probably have a lot of context because it's Greek mythology. We've all studied it, so it's not going to be Les Mis where they're referencing all these random things that happened in the 1800s or 1700s, whatever. So you have a bunch of context. Also, it you kind of know how it's going to end, and also it's just very I guess not groundbreaking, but just like they're doing music that doesn't fit with the time, so it's just a fun time. I think, and there's a lot of memes right now of people being like, "Oh, do you want to go to that cool Greek movie right now?" And so they invite people. They're like, "Oh, dude, I love Christopher Nolan." I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, we're going to a musical. Get ready to cry.
You're gonna go watch the Odyssey.
Yeah,
there's
so many videos, and I love every single one of them. So that's my pitch for HadesTown. If you have seen it, maybe comment to convince Jared to check it out. I think it's amazing.
I'm not anti checking it out. I will be honest. There are a lot of other movies out right now that I think I'd probably watch first.
That's fair, but I would hope it eventually comes to streaming.
I'd watch it if it's
and
streaming.
I think that's a good one. But even though I love HadesTown, I do know it's not the big dog on the Grecian myth docket.
Can you imagine like releasing HadesTown thinking that like, okay, like, hey, it's about time we get some Greek mythology up in these theaters, and then freaking Christopher Nolan comes in and drops the Odyssey.
Isn't it crazy though that every year I feel like there's one big Greek thing? Like there was like Blood of Zeus on Netflix a bit ago, and then obviously Percy Jackson.
Did you watch the second season of that?
I didn't know it had come out.
It did. I just feel like it ended so good. Haven't seen like the best reviews for the second season.
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
But so Blood of Zeus came out, Percy Jackson came out. They keep like redoing, obviously like God of War and stuff. Like it's a cyclical.
God of War now is not doing it's anymore. He's killed them.
He's killed them all.
Yeah, it's all Norse mythology now.
But still,
what is it? Like, it's funny how important Greek mythology is growing up. Like in literature classes, like it's always Greek and like I feel like not even really Roman mythology. It's just Greek mythology.
Because Roman just copied Greek.
Right. Yep, forgot what it was. Forgot what I was gonna say there. No, it is funny that like even in college, like, humanities classes and stuff, very like European centric. I mean, we can go into like we don't have to go into all that, but it is funny how like it feels like it's almost like necessary that we need to learn Greek mythology, and I don't know why necessarily. I think it's like rich in culture for a lot of reasons. The only reason why
I think you hit the nail on the head earlier, just because it's something that's shared by European countries,
right?
Or like Rome took it over, spread it through all the European countries, and then European countries took over the world.
And I know I can appreciate Latin, like being a lot of languages deriving from Latin and stuff, but I don't know. It's just funny how important Greek mythology specifically was. And the only use for Greek mythology that I've been able to get in my life was just having more media literacy in a lot of different movies. Jumping into the big one being the Odyssey, which Parker has not seen yet. I have watched it.
I also have never read the book. I didn't have to in school.
Really?
No, I've read a Wikipedia article before this.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll go through a quick summary of it here. It'll become important here in a second. I took a Greek and Roman literature class. It was my last elective credit in college, and so that was the second time I had to read the Odyssey. I read it in middle school, which making middle school kids read the Odyssey is cruel. It doesn't make any freaking sense when I'm in middle school. I can barely understand books written in our time, but like trying to understand and then my freshman year of high school we had to read Dante's Inferno.
Oh,
which I also don't understand because I'm like,
that's a tough one.
I feel like
it's cool, but it's tough.
I could grasp it now, but that age I'm like, what the freak am I reading? I also know I have ADHD now that I realized that I grew up with, so reading was just impossible to retain any kind of information. And so going into watching the Odyssey, like because I had to read it somewhat recently in my life, I loved it. I think the general consensus is that most people loved the Odyssey. Mm-hmm. I've been seeing some haters. Some people didn't like it too much. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But I think having the context of the Odyssey and understanding how the story works, my dad, he wanted to watch it. One of his favorite movies is 300. It's like about 300 Spartans. And so he was expecting more of just war, fighting. And and my dad he's famous for falling asleep during movies, no matter what. Even if he likes the movie, he'll fall asleep during it. And he obviously fell asleep during the climax of the movie, which I won't spoil for you, but for those of you who've seen it, that scene, my dad fell asleep in, but he had no idea what the Odyssey was about. And I don't think knowing the Odyssey is a prerequisite for watching the movie, but it might be helpful.
I was going to say, like, just 2 weeks ago, I thought the Odyssey was about Jason and the Argonauts. Like,
See, I don't even know what that is.
Okay, well, it's like a different story. Like it's this famous boat called the Argo, and Jason leads it, and like they find the Golden Fleece, and like Hercules is on the crew, and it's like they go on all these random adventures. And I thought it was that story, and I had no idea there was a connection to the Trojan War. Like that happens like before the Trojan War.
Yeah.
But then it's Trojan War, and then it's the Odyssey.
Is Jason and the Argonauts written by Homer also?
I have no idea. I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
Interesting. The Odyssey, the Iliad is the, I don't know if it's the prequel to the Odyssey, but it's just the events of the Iliad are before, and that's like the Trojan War for those who don't know. That's like the famous story about the, I guess giving you guys a quick lore.
When Brad Pitt fights Will Turner.
No, he fights.
He fight. Yes.
Oh, he does fight.
Yeah. He fights Orlando Bloom, but then the Hulk gets in the way, and then they fight.
Yeah, but then eventually Orlando Bloom and Achilles fight. That's who kills him in Troy.
Yes.
The Iliad is about the Trojan War. Those of you who are unfamiliar with the story, the Trojan War between the Greeks and Troy, the city of Troy. Guy from Troy, his name's Paris. He's visiting. I forget the name of the city Sparta. He's visiting Sparta in Greece, and he falls in love with Helen, who is the wife of the king of Sparta. Helen is described as the most beautiful woman to ever live.
And we now have found out that she's part swan.
Yeah, and part swan. So swans are very graceful creatures, and I think it fits.
Okay.
Swans are also terrifying creatures.
Yes, that is also true.
Long story short, Helen flees with Paris back to Troy. And the Greeks get mad. The king of Sparta gets mad. He gets his brother involved, who's the big bad guy, big bad king named Agamemnon. They get a guy named Odysseus involved. They go to Troy. They fight. Odysseus comes up with this grand plan to hide all their soldiers in a giant wooden horse as an offering to the gods.
I want to make I don't think that would work on me.
The giant horse?
Yeah, I think I would be like, no, that's like burn it or to the gods or something like that.
Is there something that would work? Like similar theory, there's the bad guys are in this item that if someone dropped it off at your house, that you'd be like it would work.
Apparently, statistically, they found that if like you try to get a delivery person and no one ordered the food, they won't let you in. But sorry, I messed that up. They found that if you send a robot up to like a college room and the robot asks to be let in, 90% of the time or something like that, people will say no. But if the robot has cookies, 70% of the time they'll say yes. So honestly, if it was just a bunch of like Greeks, like, hey, I'm sorry, here's cookies, I'd probably let them in, and then they'd open the door.
That'd probably work on me too. If I was in college, so right now I'd be.
That's fair. That's fair.
Skeptical.
Either way, Trojan horse.
Yeah. So, anyways, Odysseus is the main character of the Odyssey. He's the story follows him. He's the one that came up with the Trojan horse, and so when the city of Troy brings the Trojan horse in at night, the warriors in the Trojan horse get up, pillage the city, open the gates, and Greece wins the war. Now, the Odyssey is about what happens after the war. Is that everyone goes home. They were in Troy for 10 years, I think. And Odysseus and his men are like, we're going back to home, which is called Ithaca. And pretty much every bad thing that could possibly happen to Odysseus on this journey takes place. And I'm not going to spoil the whole thing. You guys can go watch the movie. You'll get the idea of it. I think getting a refresher of the lore. What I really want to talk about, well, one, I think the movie was amazing. Okay. I'm not Christopher Nolan hater. I'm just a Christopher Nolan, like, skeptic, I guess is a good way to put it. Not to quote the famous Family Guy clip about The Godfather. I do think that Christopher Nolan films insist upon themselves a little bit. Like the idea that the fact that it's a Christopher Nolan film.
Yeah.
Like people, it's like he can do no wrong sometimes. And I maybe I'm a little bit of a hater in that sense where I'm a little like weary. I didn't care for Oppenheimer. Mm-hmm. I don't get why. I don't really get the hype. Don't get me wrong though. Like some of the movies he's made were fantastic. I just think people need to chill out a little bit with those movies. That being said, me personally, The Odyssey was the best Christopher Nolan film for a lot of reasons. I think people had a problem with the acting or some of the casting choices. I thought it was all great. When you watch it, I'm excited to hear your review of it. Now, the biggest thing that was a surprise to me, though, so some backstory. I'm in my Greek and Roman literature class that I mentioned before. And it was my last semester of college, and I was just scraping by. I was just like crawling to the end. I hated being in school. I was so done with it. I wasn't really doing too well in this class. It was a general credit. I was focused on my major at the time. I didn't really care about the general credit, and I kind of fell behind. I needed some extra points. So, teacher offers this last assignment as extra credit to pick a form of media that is based off the Odyssey and write a paper about it and then make a presentation about it. I know, and I've known this for a while, that SpongeBob the movie, the first SpongeBob the movie, is based off the Odyssey. It's not like loosely based. It's like straight up the Odyssey. Like they take so many tropes from the movie The Odyssey, or from the story of the Odyssey. And so I wrote a paper about it and I gave my presentation. I got 100% on that assignment and it gave me a passing grade in that class. And so
you owe a lot to SpongeBob.
Oh yeah, I've always have.
That's true.
SpongeBob is my Zeus. And he even has a horse. He has a seahorse mystery, like Pegasus and stuff. Anyways,
that's true.
A lot of people in the class didn't know that the SpongeBob movie was based off of the Odyssey. I thought a lot of people knew that, but I think it's starting to come out a lot. That a lot of people are starting to realize that it is. So there was a TikTok post where someone's like, "I just learned today that the SpongeBob movie is based off of the Odyssey." So I made a comment about how I wrote a paper about it, and it's getting like almost 10,000 likes now. So a lot of people don't know this, and so today, unfortunately, I couldn't find my original presentation.
Okay.
But luckily for me, there's someone out there named Lindsay Maxwell. Is that her name?
Yeah.
Their name? Who put a public presentation on the internet. So giving the credit, I'm not sure what the legal ramifications are of us showing this right now.
I'm sure we'll
it's
be fine.
In public. I didn't have to pay for this or anything. It's just out there. So if you guys want to see this presentation for yourself, find it on Prezi. Made this really beautiful presentation about the connection between the Odyssey and SpongeBob the movie. So we're gonna go through this and talk about all the different connections.
I know that there's a Cyclops in Odyssey, and that there's a Cyclops in SpongeBob. But besides that, I thought that was the only connection. So I'm very excited for this,
buddy. Buckle up. So everyone, let's jump right into it. So Lindsay Maxwell, thank you. If you're watching this, sponsor us. Keep putting out some amazing presentations. This was made in 2017, so this is well-known knowledge. I thought a lot more people know this. So for those of you who don't know, next time you watch SpongeBob the movie, in fact, don't even watch the Odyssey. Watch SpongeBob the movie instead. It's better. Anyways, so the story starts off with the call to the journey. I kind of mentioned before that the events of the Odyssey take place. It starts off after the Trojan War, and Odysseus needs to go home. In this presentation, Lindsay points out that originally that the call to action was Odysseus being called to fight in the Trojan War to begin with. To give a little bit of extra backstory about, so we know that Helen of Troy leaves with Paris. Menelaus, the king of Sparta, Helen's husband, was pissed. His brother Agamemnon in Greece was like the king of the kings. Like he was like Menelaus, king of Sparta. Odysseus was the king of a city called Ithaca, but Agamemnon was like over all of them. And so Agamemnon recruits Odysseus to come fight in the war with him. The Greeks all move out. Odysseus was a little hesitant at first. Let me move forward. He's a little more reluctant, unlike SpongeBob. The Odyssey movie explains it like this, where Helen going with Paris to Troy was a convenient way for Agamemnon to kind of take control of Troy and the trading routes specifically. Agamemnon was a very power-hungry king, and so this was just very convenient for him. But Odysseus, I think was very reluctant to go with him. Yada yada. Now SpongeBob's call to action. Here's some pictures, everyone. SpongeBob's call to action is a little bit different. So if those of you who haven't seen the SpongeBob movie,
this is gonna be a crazy introduction.
Those of you who know Plankton is Mr. Krabs' arch nemesis. He's been wanting to get the secret formula for the Krabby Patty secret formula for years. And so Plankton hatches this plan to steal the crown of King Neptune and frames Mr. Krabs for it. Plankton sends the crown to this place called Shell City, and SpongeBob and Patrick pretty much volunteer to go get the crown on behalf of Mr. Krabs, and they have 3 days to do it.
Get the crown, save the town, and Mr. Krabs.
Yes, exactly. And so that was kind of their call to action.
Okay.
They're a lot more willing than Odysseus is. Okay. So Odysseus / SpongeBob, they go on this journey.
Such a crazy sentence.
Yeah. The biggest thing Here's some pictures for you guys. I'm gonna jump. This goes a little out of order from where I want to start. So, what starts the Odyssey off is this interaction with a Cyclops. So, in Odysseus' case, she didn't put the name of the Cyclops, but they take off. They go a different route than what Agamemnon does to get back. They stop on this island, and they're trying to get rations, trying to get provisions, and they run into the Cyclops. I believe his name is Polyphemus, and Polyphemus has all these sheep, and they need to get around to the. I mean, it's just a giant Cyclops. They're way bigger than humans. They're kind of aggressive, and so Odysseus and his men stab the Cyclops in the eye, blind him, take some of his provisions, and leave. Little do they know that Polyphemus, the Cyclops, was the son of the king of the god of the ocean and horses, Poseidon. Mm-hmm. And he calls out saying that they blinded me, like, Father, help. Dada. You know, whatever it is.
Dada.
Dada. And pretty much Poseidon makes it his eternal life goal to make this journey back home to Ithaca the worst thing possible.
Okay.
And so this is very important throughout the story of the Odyssey. Now, in SpongeBob, the parallel is there's this giant scuba diver that has this, you know, kind of a one circle as a helmet.
Like a diving suit.
Yeah, like a diving suit. And this is like the final obstacle to get to Shell City, where the crown is. This is like the big thing that they need to get past in order to get to the crown.
Okay.
So a little bit different than the Odyssey. The Cyclops starts the story of the Odyssey. The Cyclops ends the story with SpongeBob the movie. So, anyways, the journey continues. Some of the other things Odysseus and them land on this island with the lotus flowers. And the lotus flowers, if those of you have seen Percy Jackson or read the books, it's just like it sounds. It's a flower, and as people eat it, they kind of lose track of time. They kind of forget that who they are. They lose their memory, kind of their functions, and it kind of traps people there. And so, oh jeez, oh no. Pay no mind.
We're gonna have to cut this out.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
Can I just use? Okay, I can just use I don't need to click. So when Odysseus and his men land on the island of the Lotus Eaters, they send 2 men and a runner to scout the area. The 2 men encounter these people who give them lotus flowers, and they begin their addiction. Odysseus ties them to the ship so they cannot continue eating, but they get stuck there for a while, and they don't feel like they can leave. Now, the equivalent of this in the SpongeBob movie was towards the beginning. SpongeBob.
Oh my gosh.
SpongeBob, the Krusty Krab is opening up the famous Krusty Krab 2, and the time comes to pick a manager for it. SpongeBob thinks he's a shoo-in. Mr. Krabs picks Squidward tentacles. SpongeBob goes to Goofy Goobers to drown out his sorrows. It's like the equivalent of alcohol. This is a really important part theme-wise, where Odysseus, throughout the Odyssey, kind of challenges the gods. He's very, he believes in the gods, but he almost doesn't respect them. And so him killing the Cyclops, he doesn't take the fact that the Cyclops was calling out to Poseidon seriously. Similar to SpongeBob in this case, where he had a lot of pride, a lot of anger towards Mr. Krabs, feeling like he deserved something, that like he was all high and mighty. Anyways.
And he's also angry at Neptune, who is Poseidon.
Yeah. So there's another parallel there. So SpongeBob goes to Goofy Goobers. He eats an insane amount of ice cream and gets hungover and kind of lose track of time. So the next morning he wakes up. The store had already closed, and they were just about to reopen again. And the waiter wakes him up, and SpongeBob forgets what day it is, and then remembers that he's mad at Mr. Krabs. And then the story continues there. Another big part of the Odyssey, and one of the obstacles that Odysseus runs into, is the sirens. So there are a couple different sirens and versions of kind of temptation that appear. Circe is one of them. I believe she's a water nymph or something. I don't think it says it here. But Circe. Oh no, never mind. I'm totally going off track from what this thing is saying. So the sirens are kind of described as very beautiful creatures that sing, like, I don't know if it's a very beautiful sounding song, but it's a very tempting song that lures sailors out of the water to them, and they end up dying there on this island. And so when Odysseus and them drive by, drive by. When they sail by, he makes them put earwax in their ears to kind of stop them from hearing the song. A lot of them end up disobeying that order, and so he does lose a lot of men. So the sirens were very tempting. They were kind of tempting people away from the original path. The equivalent of that in the SpongeBob movie, SpongeBob and Patrick are in the Krusty Krab mobile, which is a burger sandwich that drives. SpongeBob is able to drive it, even though he doesn't have his boating license because it's not a boat; it's a sandwich. Then they see free ice cream on the side of the road, and so it's this free ice cream shack. It's surrounded by all these dead bodies and bones. And SpongeBob goes over. Patrick tries to warn him, but just decides to ask for chocolate ice cream instead. It ends up being this giant freaking creature that is going to eat them, and so it was kind of luring them into it.
So it's a siren.
It's a siren. Yeah, it's their equivalent of siren. It's ice cream. Ice cream is a big theme here. Ice cream is their song.
Oh my goodness.
Let's see if it has other mythical encounters. Another thing that I don't think is in this presentation, one of the other important details of the Odyssey was that Odysseus had to pick a path. One was this giant whirlpool. The other path would take them as almost like a fork in the road. They can go towards the whirlpool. I think in the Odyssey, I remember it describing it as like the whirlpool itself was a monster. In the movie, it didn't really explain it like that. But he can go the other way where there was this giant sea monster called the Scylla. It's kind of through this canyon and stuff. In the SpongeBob movie, it wasn't in this presentation. There was like this chasm of just monsters that they go through, and that's when they sing the "Now That We're Men" song.
Yes.
And yeah, that's another.
There's so many connections. Okay.
That they run into. Now, another big important part of the Odyssey was the Bag of Winds. So Odysseus is given the Bag of Wind by Alias. I can't pronounce that name. That bringing it would take, like opening it, I think this was towards the beginning of his journey, it would just take them home immediately. I've seen a couple different things about what actually happens in the Odyssey. I'm trying to remember what happens. If I remember correctly, Odysseus and his men were almost home, or they weren't supposed to open the bag yet, but they opened it too early, and it kind of sent them back to Troy.
Oh my gosh.
They weren't supposed to open, and the reason why is because Odysseus' men thought that there was treasure in the bag, and they didn't believe Odysseus, and so it set them back even more. And now in SpongeBob, at the very beginning of the movie, Mindy the mermaid, daughter of Neptune, I'm going to talk a little bit more about her in a second, gives SpongeBob and Patrick the Bag of Winds. The point was, once they got to Shell City, they were supposed to open the bag, and then it was going to fly them all the way back to Bikini Bottom.
Okay.
And right as they have their crown in hand, they're about to, they're reading the instructions of what to do with the bag. While SpongeBob was reading through it, Patrick is following the instructions, opens the bag, and it just shoots away from him, and then they lose it. Luckily for them, they're saved by none other than David Hasselhoff, which is not canonically incorrect in the Odyssey. There's no David Hasselhoff.
Oh, can you imagine though, like Christopher Nolan just puts all this effort and money into making this movie, and then like Odysseus, like Matt Damon is like, oh, there's no way we can get home. It's like, I can get you there. This is David Hasselhoff. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, that's another big one. Now, Mindy the mermaid, I'm glad we landed on this one because it's not in the presentation. So throughout Odysseus' journey, he's being guided by Athena, the goddess of wisdom.
Yes.
Other things. Mindy in this story
is she Athena?
She's like Athena. She kind of pops up randomly throughout the story. She kind of
totally
guides.
Does.
She gives them the Bag of Winds. She meets up with them halfway through to kind of give them the confidence to get through that chasm of monsters. And she kind of roots for them along the way. In the Odyssey, Athena is the only one that vouches for Odysseus and his men, and trying to convince Poseidon. I believe that Athena was trying to convince Zeus to get Poseidon to stop messing with Odysseus. And that was kind of like, so throughout the journey, that's kind of the parallel there. Let's go into... Oh, there's some character correlations. Oh, this does bring up Athena. SpongeBob and Odysseus, we know that.
Mm-hmm.
Poseidon and King Neptune, that one's an easy one. I just talked about Athena and Mindy.
Uh-huh.
This is a good one. I actually didn't think about this when I watched the movie and when I did my original presentation. So some background for those who understand the story. So Odysseus is the king of Ithaca, and they're gone for almost 20 years, I believe. And his wife Penelope is back in Ithaca, kind of sitting on an empty throne. Back in that day, women were not allowed to be rulers of the kingdoms, and so in their castle, or their kingdom, or like their home or whatever. There's just a bunch of suitors waiting to be the next husband to Penelope, in turn being the next king. And they were just waiting and waiting and waiting for Penelope to give up on waiting for Odysseus, before picking a new husband, and then they can become king. And so obviously they didn't really want to be with Penelope. They just wanted to be king. Kind of similar to how Plankton didn't really, care about finding King Neptune's crown or anything like that. He cared about having the Krusty Krabby Patty secret formula. There's an epic scene at the end of the Odyssey where Odysseus finally comes back. Spoiler alert, it's like thousands of years old. Okay, sorry guys, I'm not spoiling anything here. Odysseus comes back and he takes care of business. He gets rid of all the suitors in a very epic way.
With a guitar.
Yeah. And so, yeah. So, in the SpongeBob movie, SpongeBob and Patrick return. SpongeBob gets a freaking magical guitar, sings the Goofy Goober song in a rock form.
Oh my goodness.
Takes out... Let me backtrack. Plankton hypnotizes the entirety of Bikini Bottom with
Mind
these
controls.
bucket helmets, and then they become kind of his slaves. SpongeBob comes back, saves everyone, destroys all the buckets, and then Plankton is kicked back to the chum bucket where he belongs. In the Odyssey, one of the suitors named Antinous is kind of like the head suitor, the one that's really causing the trouble, the kind of making the biggest push. He's like the equivalent of Plankton, I would say, in the story.
Oh.
So I just saved you guys all this reading and things like that. Let me see what this means. The hubris. Oh, this is kind of what we touched on before.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da. Anyways. Well, I was hoping to say this in a more well thought out way, but that's essentially the story of the Odyssey and how it's connected to SpongeBob the movie. I feel like it's so like shamelessly copying the Odyssey, not copying, but inspired by the Odyssey. And it's actually surprising how many people didn't know that it was based off of this. I think it's a very fun way to tell the story. Obviously, the Odyssey is something that I'm surprised. I think a lot of elements of ancient Greek literature is like shown in like media throughout the years, and I think the Odyssey feels like something that doesn't, like, people aren't using it as much. Maybe they are. Maybe I just don't understand it. But I know, like, the only other ones that I can think of that kind of follow the Odyssey are, like, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Have you seen that one?
Yes.
That's a really good one.
Yes.
I think that one's just, like, they know that they're copying the Odyssey. But I don't really know that many. I think Percy Jackson, the first Percy Jackson book, they kind of follow, like, an Odyssey-esque.
And, like, the second one kind of as well.
Yeah. But, yeah.
I guess it's in media and entertainment way more than I thought.
Yeah. It's very impressive. So, all that to say, for those of you who weren't allowed to watch SpongeBob growing up, just know that SpongeBob gave me a passing grade in college, and now I am the holder of a bachelor's degree, and I have a regular job. And so, it gets you
far.
It gets you far enough in life. That's the story of SpongeBob and the Odyssey.
That was amazing.
You should have clapped instead of me. That was embarrassing. I had to clap for myself. I had to do that.
You could have done better.
Yeah. Anyways, any questions?
Well, shoot, not really. I didn't realize there was such a connection.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us for Side Tangent and for learning so much about the Odyssey, HadesTown, and most importantly, the true pinnacle of Western civilization, the SpongeBob movie, which was apparently they were going to end the series with it.
They should have.
Well,
no, they should have, but like that would have been a good ending.
That would have been a good ending, but it made so much money that they're like, oh, we'll keep it going.
I think SpongeBob's one of those things that it's. I think it's still. I don't know, maybe it's not still airing, but it went on longer than it needed to. I think they should have stopped it. I think it's too much of a classic, but I get why it's a moneymaker at the end of the day. But the SpongeBob movie ending the series would have been
pretty amazing.
Chef's kiss. But now they've made like 3 more movies, and it just gets worse and worse.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like they've desecrated a good name of SpongeBob.
They should just go back to copying Greek literature. They should do Trojan War next.
The SpongeBob movie should do Trojan War?
The next SpongeBob movie should be the Trojan War.
The Iliad is another one that I feel like people don't copy a lot.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I would love that. Maybe there is. I would love in the comments if there's other like forms of media that copy the Iliad or inspired by the Iliad or the Odyssey. Like, please let us know because I'm like very intrigued by how like it's crazy that this in depth of a story was written so long ago, and here we are today enjoying it. Watch the Odyssey. Watch HadesTown. Watch the SpongeBob movie. Yeah, we love you guys. Bye.